Once upon a time, in a small village called Zamani, there lived a young girl named Amina. Amina was kind and friendly, but she had a problem. There was a boy in the village named Kwame who always teased her. He called her names and laughed at her whenever he saw her point. One day, Amina decided she had enough. She wanted to teach Kwame a lesson so he would stop teasing her. Amina's best friend, Zai, helped her come up with a plan. They decided to play a prank on Kwame. They would put honey on his seat in the village meeting place, so when he sat down, he would get all sticky. The next day, Amina and Zai went to the meeting place early in the morning. They carefully poured the honey on Kwame's favorite seat and quickly hid behind a big tree to watch. Soon, Kwame came to the meeting place and sat down on the honey-covered seat. At first, Kwame didn't notice anything, but then he felt something sticky. He jumped up and everyone in the village laughed when they saw the honey all over his pants. Amina and Zai giggled from their hiding spot, feeling pleased with their clever prank. However, something unexpected happened. Kwame looked around, trying to figure out who had played the prank on him. Suddenly, he spotted Amina and Zai peeking from behind the tree. Instead of getting angry, Kwame walked over to them with a big smile. "Amina, Zai," he said, "that was a good prank. You really got me." Kwame laughed and the girls were surprised. Kwame wasn't mad at all. In fact, he seemed to enjoy the prank, but then, something even more surprising happened. Kwame reached into his bag and pulled out a small, wrapped package. "I was actually looking for you, Amina," he said. "I wanted to give you this as a peace offering. I know I've been teasing you, and I'm sorry." Amina was shocked. She never expected Kwame to apologize, let alone give her a gift. She took the package and unwrapped it. Inside was a beautiful beaded necklace. "I made it myself," Kwame explained. "I hoped we could be friends." Amina felt a mix of emotions. She was happy that Kwame apologized but also felt guilty for playing the prank. "I'm sorry for the honey prank, Kwame," she said. "It wasn't very nice of me." Kwame smiled. "It's okay, Amina. I deserved it for teasing you. Let's call it even." From that day on, Kwame, Amina, and Zai became good friends. They played together, helped each other with chores, and shared many adventures. The villagers were happy to see the children getting along. However, the story didn't end there. One afternoon, while the friends were playing near the river, they heard a loud noise. It sounded like someone was in trouble. They ran towards the sound and found an old man trapped under a fallen tree branch. It was the village elder, Baba Jomo. "Help! Help!" Baba Jomo cried. The children knew they had to act fast. Kwame tried to lift the branch, but it was too heavy. Amina and Zai looked around for something to help. They found a long stick and used it as a lever to lift the branch just enough for Baba Jomo to crawl out. "Thank you, children," Baba Jomo said, catching his breath. "You saved my life. But there's something you need to know. This branch didn't fall by itself. There's something strange happening in the village." The children exchanged worried glances. "What do you mean, Baba Jomo?" Amina asked. "There's a dark force in the forest," Baba Jomo continued. "It's been causing trouble and playing tricks. You must be careful and watch out for each other." The friends nodded, feeling a mix of fear and determination. They knew their adventures were just beginning, and they would have to face the mysterious force together. That night, Amina, Kwame, and Zai gathered at Amina's house to talk about Baba Jomo's warning. "Do you think we should tell the other villagers?" Zai asked, her eyes wide with worry. "I think we should," Kwame replied. "But we need to find out more about this dark force first. We can't just scare everyone without knowing what we're dealing with." Amina nodded. Let's start by talking to Baba Jomo again. Maybe he can tell us more. The next morning, the three friends visited Baba Jomo's hut. The old man welcomed them warmly. "I'm glad you came," he said. "There is indeed a dark force in the forest. It's called the shadow spirit. Long ago, it was trapped in a cave deep in the woods, but recently, it seems to have escaped. How do we stop it?" Amina asked bravely. Baba Jomo sighed. "The shadow spirit feeds on fear and chaos. To stop it, you must find the ancient amulet that can trap it again. The amulet is hidden somewhere in the forest. But be careful, the shadow spirit will try to stop you." Determined to protect their village, Amina, Kwame, and Zaid decided to search for the amulet. They packed some food, water, and a map of the forest, and set off on their journey. The forest was dark and eerie, with strange sounds echoing around them. As they walked deeper into the woods, they felt a chill in the air. Suddenly, they heard a rustling noise behind them. They turned around and saw a pair of glowing red eyes staring at them from the shadows. "It's the shadow spirit," Kwame whispered, his voice shaking. Amina took a deep breath and stepped forward. "We're not afraid of you," she shouted, trying to sound brave. The shadow spirit laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "You should be," it hissed. "You will never find the amulet. This forest will be your end." But the friends refused to give up. They pressed on, following the map and searching for clues. They crossed rivers, climbed hills, and braved dark caves. Along the way, they faced many challenges and obstacles set by the shadow spirit, but their friendship and determination kept them going. Finally, after what felt like days of searching, they found themselves standing before a large, ancient tree. At the base of the tree, partially buried in the roots, was a small, glowing object. "The amulet!" Zay exclaimed. Just as Kwame reached out to grab it, the shadow spirit appeared, blocking their path. "You will not take it," it roared. Amina, Kwame, and Zay knew this was their final chance. They stood together, holding hands, and faced the shadow spirit. "We are not afraid," Amina said firmly. "We will protect our village." In that moment, the amulet began to glow brighter. The light grew stronger and stronger, pushing the shadow spirit back. With a final, ear-piercing scream, the shadow spirit was sucked into the amulet, and the forest fell silent. The friends stood there, panting and exhausted, but victorious. They had saved their village. They carefully picked up the amulet and started their journey back home, ready to tell the villagers of their adventure and the power of their unbreakable friendship. The journey back to Zamani was long but filled with relief and joy. As they reached the village, the sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the huts and fields. The villagers gathered around, curious about where the children had been. Amina held up the glowing amulet. "We found it. We stopped the shadow spirit," she announced. Everyone gasped, and Baba Jomo stepped forward, his eyes filled with pride. "You have done a great deed," he said. "You have saved us all." The villagers cheered, lifting Amina, Kwame, and Zay onto their shoulders in celebration. That night, the village had a big feast in honor of the brave friends. There was music, dancing, and laughter. For the first time in a long while, the village felt safe and happy. After the celebration, Baba Jomo took the amulet and placed it in a secure, hidden spot in the village, ensuring that the shadow spirit would never escape again. "This amulet will remain a symbol of courage and unity," he said. "May it remind us that even in the darkest times, we can find light if we stand together." The next day, life in the village returned to normal, but Amina, Kwame, and Zay knew they would never forget their adventure. They continued to play and explore, their bond stronger than ever. However, one afternoon, while the friends were playing by the river, Amina noticed something strange. A small, dark cloud was hovering over the water, casting an eerie shadow. "Do you see that?" she asked, pointing. Kwame and Zay nodded, their faces growing serious. Do you think it's related to the shadow spirit? Zay asked. I don't know, Amina replied. But we should find out. As they approached the cloud, they heard a faint whispering. It sounded like voices, but they couldn't make out the words. Suddenly, the cloud shifted, and they saw a shape forming within it. It was a figure, dark and menacing, but not quite as powerful as the shadow spirit. Who are you? Kwame called out, the figure's eyes glowed red. I am a remnant of the shadow spirit, it hissed. You may have trapped the main spirit, but pieces of it remain. And we will rise again. The friends felt a shiver run down their spines. They knew they had to act quickly. We need to tell Baba Jomo, Amina said. He'll know what to do. They ran back to the village and found Baba Jomo tending to his garden. Baba Jomo, there's another spirit by the river. Amina exclaimed. The old man looked concerned but not surprised. I feared this might happen, he said. The shadow spirit was powerful, and it's possible that fragments of it still linger. We must gather the villagers and prepare to face this new threat. The friends and Baba Jomo called a village meeting. Everyone listened intently as they explained what they had seen. We must be vigilant, Baba Jomo said. We defeated the shadow spirit once, and we can do it again. But we need to stay united and brave. With the villagers' support, Amina, Kwame, and Zay knew they were ready for whatever came next. They had faced darkness before, and they would do it again. Together, they were unstoppable. That night, the village prepared for what might come. Baba Jomo led a ceremony to strengthen the amulet's power, while Amina, Kwame, and Zay stayed close by, ready to help. As midnight approached, the sky darkened, and an unnatural chill filled the air. The villagers gathered in the center of Zamani, forming a protective circle around the amulet. The faint whispering sounds grew louder, and the shadowy figure from the river appeared, now accompanied by several smaller shadows. We are the remnants of the shadow spirit, the figure hissed. You may have defeated our master, but we will reclaim our power. Baba Jomo stepped forward, holding the glowing amulet. You have no place here, he declared. We stand united against you. The shadows lunged toward the villagers, but Amina, Kwame, and Zay stepped in front of Baba Jomo, their hands joined in a show of courage and unity. We are not afraid, Amina said firmly. We protect our home and our people. As they spoke, the amulet's light grew even brighter, illuminating the entire village. The shadows recoiled, their forms flickering and weakening. Baba Jomo chanted an ancient spell, and the amulet's light shot out like a beacon, striking the shadows one by one. The villagers watched in awe as the shadows dissolved into nothingness, their dark whispers fading into the night. When the last shadow vanished, the village was bathed in a warm, peaceful glow. Baba Jomo smiled at the children. You have shown great bravery and strength. The shadow spirit's remnants are gone, thanks to you. The villagers cheered, lifting Amina, Kwame, and Zay high in the air. 3 cheers for our heroes, they shouted. The celebration lasted long into the night, filled with joy and relief. From that day on, Zamani was a place of peace and harmony. The story of how 3 brave friends saved the village from the shadow spirit became a legend, passed down from generation to generation. Amina, Kwame, and Zay grew up to be wise and respected leaders, always reminding the villagers that no matter how dark times may seem, courage and unity can conquer any challenge. And so, the village of Zamani thrived, its people forever grateful for the bravery of 3 young friends who stood against the shadows and brought light to their home.